Humans, beautiful humans of Earth, welcome back to a new Earth Wisdom Walks. I'm here with Madeline, and
yes, we're here.
What's your full name?
Madeline MacGillivray.
Nice.
My middle name is Elizabeth.
Yeah. So yeah, Madeline has some exciting things and beautiful things going on her end of the spectrum. Let's actually start off this walk with some information about your past and how what was it like growing up? Where did you grow up?
Yes.
Let's share this story.
I love that. Okay. I grew up very close by to here, this particular park we're walking through. So I grew up coming to this park every day, basically. And so, yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn. And that's, yeah, I was born in the city. My parents moved to Brooklyn when I was very small. And then I spent like 4 years, I spent high school in San Francisco and spent a little bit of time out there in California in Big Sur, Santa Barbara, and then I moved back here.
Nice.
So I consider myself a New Yorker, but I also have California influence, and I also have quite a heavy Hudson Valley influence.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I started going up to Woodstock when I was like 12.
Yay.
And so I've spent such a beautiful amount of time. I love the Hudson Valley, so that's where I'm coming in from.
Nice,
Yes.
Madeline. So yeah, what were the activities you would mostly do when you were younger? What would you spend a lot of time doing?
That's a great question. As a technically only child, like I have half and step siblings, didn't really grow up with them, so like I identify mainly as an only child. Boredom is not a thing for me, and so I grew up literally just being outside a lot, and
Nice.
I credit my mom to prioritizing that. Even though we were in the city, we really were able to be in this park most of the time when I was outside. Yeah, I don't know, I mean, there's like many different ways to answer that question, but I've been able to really just like explore myself a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, and my creativity a lot, and not even like having the space, but also making the space to do that. So I don't know. That's a short answer.
That's a great childhood.
Yes.
Sounds
I mean,
really nice.
it definitely was like, we can savor the good things because there are also not so good things. That is life.
Yes.
And so I'm so lucky. I'm definitely so lucky. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for sharing that, Madeline.
Yes.
So that segues us into my next question. What influenced you to get into climate activism?
Yep. Okay. That's a good question. I'll try to answer it succinctly, but it's my mommy. Well,
Nice.
it's like, yeah, she's an
So
incredible.
mom's in the space.
That's what exactly. Mom is here with us.
Nice.
She's an incredible. She was a practicing environmental attorney, a nonprofit environmental attorney. So I grew up just like in a very unique way, I would say. I grew up like, because she would have people that she was working with, like pro bono, who were really just fighting oil extraction. Like I grew up even starting at age 8, going to these places that were very impacted by like various forms of extraction. So when you're like 8, 9, 10, like, 13, 16, going to like Appalachia and seeing mountaintop removal, where you're literally standing on the last mountain in an entire mountain range, and it's just like black and deserted, like a hellscape. And then you're meeting these people who are like fighting for their survival and fighting for their resources. That has shaped my worldview. And so I've been able to be mentored and influenced by people who I consider to be like the closest thing we have to superheroes. And they didn't choose that, and they were forced to. And so that's like a very unique upbringing, I think, because at a very young age I had a very like global perspective of the different sort of fights happening, like the different ways that fossil fuel like industry and petrocolonialism is engaging and ravaging communities. So that's like impossible, I think, to not then just be super formed in an innate way by it. And so that's how I sort of got into this, just like being in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, what are some exciting things, positive things, you're really excited about within the climate environment and space that you'd like to shine your light on?
I really love that question, and I think like there's things I could say, because I have like, I could talk about technologies and I could talk about exciting like money going to the right places.
Yes.
And you know, I have a science background, I have a particularly microplastics research background, so I can talk about like those kinds of things. But I think that I actually want to just say that it's been the way that like people in our sphere and people who are basically young voices of color have just created a community and created like a swell around these issues. Like, I'm so lucky to get to know and work with these people and like collaborate with them. So like what comes to mind is this event that myself on behalf of Seeding Sovereignty, which is the nonprofit that my mom and I work on, we co-hosted this event called the Symbiocene.
Ooh,
yes,
I love
for
the
Climate
name.
Week last year with Isaias, Queer Brown Vegan, Kalpana from Nowadays on Earth, and a couple other people. And it was just like, we are living the world that we are actually envisioning. So I think that the things that I'm most excited about is like the dreaming people who are making it happen, and understanding that like it's actually just the ways in which we embody the world that we want to see. So I'm very excited about that, and I'm excited about like their influence, like our voices' influence. Particularly, I saw this at COP. I wasn't at COP, but like knowing so many people who were there, and just knowing that like that critical language that made it into the final document, like the final sort of agreement, was really had a ton to do with like the grassroots campaigning and organizing that all the like activists there did during the last few days. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the nonprofit you and your mom are working on.
Yeah.
What is it about?
Yeah.
Share with whoever's viewing maybe some of the upcoming projects that you guys have lined up.
Okay, I'm so excited to talk about this. So it's called Seeding Sovereignty. So like seeding, SEEDING, and my mom founded it actually. Like now it's been like 6 years. And Seeding is really a multi-lens, queer, BIPOC-led nonprofit that focuses on like mutual aid and environmental justice work. So we have various different programs. We have like a small but mighty team, and we have, for example, a really amazing and beautiful like community care program, like a community care farm. We have Serpentina is the person who's like managing that program, and they're doing such a great job. Let's go down.
Okay.
Like abortion doula trainings and like mutual aid farming. We've been doing a lot of programming around storytelling and like uplifting the past month or so around Palestine. And so we have that program. We have a missing and murdered Indigenous peoples program.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And raising awareness and really like storytelling and sort of amplifying the voices of the families that want to talk about it.
Nice.
And then we have a climate program, which I'm leading, and we have various different things. And one of those things is like there's a political advocacy component, which I'm really trying to build out, and like garnering support and organization for like bringing people on board. Like how do we actually engage with our elected officials, and how do we actually go from just like calling them once or twice,
Right.
To being more involved in the political process as voters. But then there's the podcast side of things, which is so fun.
What's it called?
It's called Supersede, which is spelled like the word to supersede, like the verb. So it's SUPRSEDE. So we're superseding sort of these systems of oppression. It's really about, I started it because I was like, a lot of the time, I think a lot of people are just asking themselves and asking me and asking others this question, like, what can I do? And that's this question that we're all wondering, and a lot of people are feeling very stuck. And so I was like, well, how about we interview people who have actually kind of figured out that answer for themselves, and we go through how they got there. Yeah. So
Where can they find it?
I mean, honestly, anywhere you can listen to podcasts.
Nice.
You know, Apple and Spotify, yes, but there's like other platforms too. So please check it out. It's
tune
really
in.
like grounding these big questions into like actual like takeaways, actual action items, which I'm very excited to be able to bring that to people, and it's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds so awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
now let's discuss some of the ways you stay mindful.
Okay. I love that question. I think I just did one. I tend to sigh when I need,
Yes.
take a deep breath. Let's go this way.
Okay, I'm keen.
Thank you. And this is where I walk my dogs.
Yeah.
Well, that's one too. Like my dogs. They're so cute and funny. There's a big one and a little one. And I love to go hiking.
Little one.
Yep, I love to go hiking with them. It's like my favorite thing to do is just to go upstate and go hiking with my dogs.
The best.
It's the best. And I think just like have been trying to have like a better, like I've been trying to like have a better routine of like my, like when I'm going to sleep, because in the mornings I do this, just like naturally my routine is to do this kind of like short stretching routine where I go, this is actually really cool, I love talking about this. I go and like into this doorway, and I it's hard to like demonstrate, but I sort of lean like through the doorway, and I put my feet sort of exactly in the doorway, and then I lean, and it just opens everything, and it's like this huge opener. And then I go like down, and I like stretch down, I stretch my legs and my hips, and then I go back through the doorway. And it's so invigorating, and it's incredible. I am someone who practices yoga, and I like exercise a decent amount, so it's really nice to just do something that is like doesn't take up a ton of time, and it's a very little like a bite thing that I can do, and it's really effective.
Nice.
Other than that, I think just eating lots of plants.
Wow. What's your favorite plant to eat?
My favorite plant has been arugula lately.
Arugula.
That's what I've been on an arugula obsession. I don't know, it's not an obsession, but it's been an affinity.
Nice.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's kind of it. I could go on, but that's my general answer.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm also curious about, do you have any spiritual practices?
That's a good question. Do I have any spiritual practices? I think it depends on how you define spiritual.
Yeah, how do you define spiritual?
I define spiritual personally as anything that takes me out of my head and brings me into like a sense of like bringing the fact that I exist within a really, and am really supported by the universe into a more front place of mind. So I don't know, it's a very broad sense, but like I think anything for me can be considered spiritual. Like I really just think being around and interacting with microbes and dirt, and like okay, I took my Christmas tree to the place where they turn them into mulch.
Nice.
And I was holding for like a 15-minute walk. I was like hugging my Christmas tree.
Okay.
I was like, this is really awesome. I'm basically hugging a tree for like 15 minutes straight, which I don't usually go up and hug trees, but it was like,
Right.
that was like, I was like, oh, well, you're dead, which is very sad. You got cut down. But now you get to be used, and your nutrients get to be completely recirculated.
Yes.
And, you know, for a benefit of other plants and animals. But I don't know, I think, yeah, it's just like my breath and being with microbes of the natural world. And I do have like a pretty inconsistent meditation practice, but I,
Right.
at
But
one
you practice
point, I do
meditation.
practice meditation.
Nice.
I have been experimenting with cold exposure, which has been really cool. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I love that.
How are you doing that?
I
in
just
cold shower?
Yeah, and I do like I take my normal temperature shower, then I go cold,
Right.
and then I go hot again, and then cold again, and then hot. And I think that the vasodilation and vasoconstriction is actually really helpful. And also, if I were to end on cold, I get really cold, so I need to like be warm again. So those are some of the. I don't know if I would consider them spiritual practices, but like, it doesn't take a lot for me to get into a headspace that is a little bit out there that maybe other people would use certain substances for.
Right.
So I think for me it's more of like a choice. Like I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go into this mindset now. It's always sort of simmering at the top, and it depends on how deep I want to go. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yay! I hope that answers the question. It does.
That did.
Yeah.
Now, would you like to share any ideas or just ways
Yeah.
people can take to head towards the right direction, or
Yes.
the path that you're paving?
Absolutely.
At least.
I have so many things that I could say, and I think that the way that I'll
What's like some of the easiest ways people can
Yeah.
start being more mindful of their effects on the climate?
Yeah, okay, I like that question. I think there's like a short preface to that answer, which is
Okay.
that there's a list of things that I could give you,
Okay.
right? And all of those things are fantastic. And I think it's not necessarily, this list is like pretty, is on the awareness of a lot of people. Like, like it's exciting and wonderful to compost your food scraps.
Right.
It's exciting and helpful to like, you know, divest your money, get your money out of investing in fossil fuel projects. These are like action items that I think are very helpful. Trying to limit your plastic where you can, and like these are behavioral changes that are totally important, but they are pretty individual, you know, based. And my real answer is that if you are interested in like having a shift, no matter what size that shift is, towards creating and being a part of a more sustainable human species on this earth, that the actual answer of like what you can sort of do is, I can't answer that for you. That's actually super existential and requires a decent amount of self-exploration and self-reflection. And the way that you can start, because I can't answer that, but what I can do is give you the ways to start, which is that it's really about what brings you joy. So that's kind of my message and something that I really, really believe in is that, like, you know, there's sort of this swirling overwhelm of information, I think, that we're all, like, or most of us at least, are confronted with every day. It's very easy to feel stuck and to be like, what can I do and where do I start? And what I would do is I would start with literally understanding, like, first understanding that you are the expert of your lived experience, and you don't need a degree to become an expert, and you don't need to, if you want to, you can pivot careers and pursue different, you know, certifications, but, like, by all means you can just start exactly where you are and don't have to do any of that. And in fact, as the expert of your lived experience, you can find those threads by figuring out what brings you the most joy, because in an ideal situation, what brings us joy is what helps, you know, fight for climate justice, and that we're all able to do that. And I hope that it becomes more and more accessible to people to be able to do that, because that is the work that actually sustains us. Because I think we are thinking it's important to think of the near term, but, like, it's not ever actually going to end. So it's not like the next 10 years are crunch time and then beyond that we're good. It's like, actually, this is our lives. This is our entire existence, and it's about those deep changes. And so pursuing what really brings us joy, together, not as individuals, but also together, is what is going to be the most lasting and deep change, in my humble opinion.
I agree. Happy people makes a happy world.
Yes, it does.
And
yes, they do.
Yeah.
Thank
you for sharing this beautiful insight and perspective.
Such a pleasure.
Yo, if we were to leave the next frontier, next generation, a piece of advice, from your, speak from your soul, what would you leave?
I love that. Yeah, you know what, I would say two things. I would say that first, I think that I'm a zillennial. I'm the last millennial and the first Gen Z, and I just learned that term.
Nice.
I think that anyone who's Gen Z and Gen X and below already is, like, having this frame of mind that it's different than when I grew up, and I even have only known about I was like 6 when I started understanding that there's global warming.
Right.
And so I have not known a world where I haven't thought about climate every single day of my life. These younger people are, like, feeling that on a much deeper level. And so I think that they already embody sort of an awareness of what I was saying earlier, which is the longevity of things, about how we have an urgency because we've got to, you know, turn the ship around, but also that this is our entire lives. This is the world we live in, so it's not a short-term thing. But I think that embodying this mindset, yeah, it's a mindset shift, which is that climate is actually everything. I mean, everything is everything.
Yes.
But when we, like, what you're doing you don't have to shift into particularly talking about carbon. Climate is not carbon.
Yes.
Like, educating young girls is climate justice. You know, like, making art is climate justice. So everything is interconnected, and we don't have to sort of think of climate as this one particular industry. And to that, I would also just add, like, speaking directly from my not even thinking, it's just like creation. Like, we have to be, and we are creating this new world. And so, as someone with a science background and who has, like, interacted maybe more with kind of folks in, like, science or folks in traditionally what are thought of as non-creative fields, I can tell you that, one, that is extremely creative. And two, if we have the solutions, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we have the solutions if we don't have the people dreaming up how those solutions can get implemented and communicating those solutions to people, humanizing those solutions and integrating them into our society. So we need creative brains, and we have them, and that's very exciting, but that's what I would say.
Yeah. Nice. Wow.
Yeah. Bit of a ramble, but it's
It's creative.
That's what I have coming through my brain.
You're just channeling.
Yes. Yeah.
You're just channeling the creative vibes.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
But where can a lot of people find what you're doing? Where, what are ways they can partake in your projects?
There are several very specific ways.
Okay.
One, of course, you can find me on the socials,
Right.
but I developed a workshop specifically for this purpose. I literally spent actually really years, but last year I spent the bulk of last year developing a workshop for people who are feeling like climate anxiety but feeling kind of stuck, not really sure how to establish those threads or what to pull on, and really just want to be around other people kind of feeling the same way. You can be someone who's younger, who's like thinking about what you want to do. You could be mid-career kind of wondering. You could be not wanting to pivot whatsoever, but just really interested in being a little bit more integrating climate into your life. And so right now, it's a workshop. It's called Finding Your Climate Superpowers. And you can find it on my website. I'm hosting, I don't know when this is going up, but I am planning I've done one, I'm going to do another one on the 14th, and then I'm going to have them more regularly because the response has been really beautiful and really positive, and I'm so happy to be able to connect with people and interchange and have synergy, and it's very cool. So workshop is definitely, and then Superseed, if you want to listen to the podcast, that's available.
Nice. I'll link everything down below.
Yes, link everything.
And thank you so much.
I'm so
Can I give you a
happy.
hug?
Of course.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Paris. I'm so glad
for
you're
this.
sharing these stories and making this information available to people. It's really important. So thank you.
We have the ability to connect with so many humans now.
Yes,
and to share stories.
Yep.
And I love your story. And I cannot wait for more people to be involved with your stories and your projects.
I love that. I love, we're both people who are kind of uplifting other people, and it's important that we all uplift each other. So
Yes.
thank you.
And thank you. I'm optimistic about where we're going because I'm starting to see so many more young, passionate and creative humans taking on some sort of project that's bigger than themselves.
Yep. Yeah, me too, totally. And as one of our wonderful Superseed guests put it, his name is Marcus Erickson.
Okay.
He gave a great piece of advice, which is sort of small wins, sustained pressure over time.
Exactly.
And I think that's what it's really about, is sticking to it, but not being discouraged, because again, this is the long game. This is the long game, and it's about small little wins over time, and not being discouraged if you're whatever, I don't know, if your goal doesn't come true in 3 months. That's not what this is about. So stick to it.
But thanks guys for watching this new Earth Wisdom Walk with Madeline, and you guys can check out her stuff down in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace and love.
Bye.
Bye.